Jones. I teach elementary school math, and welcome to my channel, Miss Math Jones. Today we're going to be working on 3rd grade, Eureka, Module 3, Lesson 17 homework together. The homework objective for today is to solve two-step word problems involving all 4 operations. The 4 operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Let's get started. The first question says, Miss Portillo's cat weighs 6 kilograms. Her dog weighs 22 kilograms more than her cat. What is the total weight of her cat and dog? So there's a key word there, more. And when it's more, we're adding, okay? Now, if it was how much more, then we would be subtracting. But since it's more by itself, then we're adding. The other key word is total. So we're going to add to find the total. And what are we adding? The cat and the dog. But we have a problem. We know the cat's weight, but we don't know the dog's weight. So that's what we're going to have to add to find out. And then once we find that out, we're going to add the cat's weight and the dog's weight together to get the total. So let's get started. First, you're going to write cat, okay? And the weight of the cat is 6 kilograms. So it's very important to take notes. So you're going to write cat and 6 kilograms because we know the weight of the cat. Now, for the dog. We just know that the dog weighs 22 kilograms more than the cat. So we can write 6 kilograms plus 22 kilograms more is going to give us the weight of the dog. So let's go ahead and perform that math so that we can figure out the weight of the dog. So we have 22 plus 6. So we're going to write 22 plus 6 so that we can figure out the weight of the dog. As always, we start with the ones place. 2 plus 6 is 8. 2 plus 0 is 2. So that means that the dog weighs 28 kilograms. Now we know that the cat weighs 6 kilograms and the dog weighs 28 kilograms. Now we're not finished yet because it asked us what is the total weight of her dog and cat, so both together. So now we have to add the weight of the cat to the weight of the dog. And we write that down as 28 plus 6. Always remember to put that larger number on top. And we start with the ones place. 8 plus 6 is, if you said 14, good. You put the 4 down in the ones place and you carry the 1 over the tens place. 1 plus 2 is, if you said 3, perfect. So 28 plus 6 is 34, which means the total weight of the cat and the dog is 34 kilograms. Now, you may want to go ahead and pause the video so that you can write everything down, or just to check your work. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says, Darren spends 39 minutes studying for his science test. He then does 6 chores. Each chore takes him 3 minutes. I see the word each, so I know there's something there. And the question asks, how many minutes does Darren spend studying and doing chores? how many minutes studying and doing chores? I boxed that in because that's really important. That's the question that I'm trying to answer. How many minutes does he spend studying and doing chores? Well, at the beginning of this question, of this word problem, it told me that he spends 39 minutes studying for science. And that's the only studying that they talk about in this word problem. So I already know he spends 39 minutes studying. Don't know how many minutes he spends doing chores, and I have to figure that out. So I'm going to go back and reread it. Darren spends 39 minutes studying for his science test. Okay. He then, anytime a question says they then do something else, that's a whole nother problem there. That's a problem. Okay. An equation that you need to go ahead and figure out the answer to. He then does 6 chores, and each chore takes him 3 minutes. So I go ahead and I create my get chart because I saw the word each, and now I'm going to fill it in. 6 chores, 6 chores. Each chore takes him 3 minutes. So I put the 6 under groups, and under the E for each, I'm going to write a 3. But I don't know the total amount of minutes that he's doing chores, but I can figure that out. So in order to figure that out, I can multiply 6 times 3. And 6 times 3 is going to give me my unknown, the total amount of time he spends doing chores. Well, if you don't know what 6 times 3 is, that's okay. You can create a ratio table. Go ahead and create your ratio table. And don't forget to write your 6 counters there to help you. All right, so we have times 6. So I'm going to first write my factors 1 to 3 because I'm going to multiply times 6, and I only need 3. 1, 2, 3. I only need to go to 3, okay? Because it's 6 times 3. Now, 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. So now I know that 6 times 3 is 18, which means my unknown number is 18. Now I know that he spends 18 minutes doing chores and 39 minutes studying. Now the question asks me, how many minutes does Darren spend studying and doing chores? So that means I have to add them together, the studying and the chores. So 39 minutes studying plus 18 minutes doing chores. All right, I'm going to set up my problem. After I set up my problem, then I'm going to go ahead and add, starting with my ones place. 9 plus 8 is 17. So I'm going to write my 7 in my ones place, and I'm going to carry my 1 over my tens place. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. So that means that my answer is 57. So that means that Darren spends 57 minutes studying and doing chores. That's my answer. Now would be a good time to go ahead and pause the video so that you can check your work to make sure that you have the same information that I have. After you pause your video, we're going to unpause your video. We're going to move on to number 3. Let's go ahead and read number 3. Number 3 says, Mr. Abbott buys 8 boxes of granola bars for a party. Each box has 9 granola bars. See the word each. And after reading those 2 sentences, I realized I have a complete question because I have 8 boxes for a party and each box has 9. How many granola bars do I have altogether? 8 boxes of 9. Well, I can go ahead and create a get chart on my paper. And then I can fill it in with the information that I have. Okay, 8 boxes, 8 groups. So I'm going to write 8 under G. Each box has 9. So under my E for each, I'm going to write 9. I don't know my total yet, though. That's okay. I can figure it out. So I write the equation to match my get chart. 8 times 9 equals unknown. Now, if you already know what 8 times 9 is, that's great. If you don't, that's okay. You can create a 9 ratio table, and if you want, you can create an 8 ratio table. Either way, you can figure it out. So since I created a 9 ratio table, then I have to go to 8 under my multiplication symbol. So I write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That way I can multiply 8 times 9. Now I have my counters up there. I have 9 counters to help me if I get stuck. 1 times 9 is 9. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 9 is 27. 4 times 9 is 36. 5 times 9 is 45. 6 times 9 is 54. 7 times 9 is 63. And 8 times 9 is 72. So that means my unknown number is 72. So that means that Mr. Abbott has 72 total granola bars right now. But I've only read the first 2 sentences. So I'm going to keep reading to see if I have to do anything else. So it says, after the party, there are 39 bars left. Left. How many bars were eaten during the party? That word left is a key word. Anytime I see that word, I need to subtract. So Mr. Abbott started with 72 granola bars. And I'm going to subtract the 39 bars that he had left at the end. Okay? And I'm going to set up my problem. 72 granola bars minus the 39 bars that he has left. As always, we want to start with our ones place. 2 minus 9. Well, I can't do that. If I hold up 2 fingers, I can't take away 9. I don't have enough. But I can go next door to the tens place. I'm going to turn that 7 into a 6. And that 2 becomes a 12. Now I can subtract. 12 minus 9 is 3. And 6 minus 3 is also 3. So that means that there were 33 bars eaten during the party. Now your paper should look very, very similar to mine. Go ahead, pause the video, and use this time to check your work. Make sure that you're taking notes and writing down the items exactly the way that I have them if you could not figure out how to solve it by yourself. So pause the video so that you can make sure that you have all of the information on your page. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to number 4. Leslie weighs her marbles in a jar, and the scale reads 474 grams. So that means that when all of the marbles are in the jar and the marbles together weigh 474 grams. So full jar weighs 474 grams. Make sure you write this down. The empty jar weighs 439 grams. So that means that a jar with no marbles in it, weighs 439 grams, just the jar. Well, now I'm wondering, How much do the marbles weigh by themselves? How much do the marbles weigh by themselves? Well, I can figure that out. They gave me two numbers. I can use that to solve, and I'm going to figure that out. So I set my problem up. The larger number always goes on the top. 474 minus 439. And I always start with my ones place. 4 minus 9. Well, I can't do that. So I'm going to have to go next door to the tens place and borrow a 10. So that 7 is going to become a 6. And now my 4 is going to become a 14. Now I can subtract. 14 minus 9 is 5. And 6 minus 3 is 3. So that means that the marbles, when they're not in the jar, the marbles weigh 35 grams without the jar. Okay. So I've only read my first two sentences. I still have more information there. So let's keep reading. Each marble weighs 5 grams. Each. I need a Get chart. How many marbles are in the jar? So to figure that out, my Get chart is going to help me. So let's go ahead and create a Get chart on our papers. All right, and let's fill it in with what we have. So we know that each marble weighs 5 grams. So I'm going to write a 5 under my E for each. Each marble weighs 5 grams. And the total weight of the marbles without the jar is 35 grams. So under total, I'm going to write 35. I don't know my groups. I don't know how many marbles are in the jar. Well, I can write an equation so that I can figure this out. 35 divided by 5 would give me my unknown, or my unknown times 5 equals 35. Now, if you already know what that unknown number is, great. If you don't, that's okay. You can create a 5 ratio table to figure it out. Don't forget those counters. Now, remember, we're going to count by 5s until we get to 35. So on my input side, or under my multiplication symbol, I'm going to number it. You can number it to whatever you want. Normally, I go to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I stopped. Okay. Now, 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 5 is 35. So I've made it to 35, which means 7 is my answer. So my unknown number is 7. So that means that there are 7 marbles in the jar, and each marble weighs 5 grams. That should be your answer. So take a moment, make sure that the answer that you received is the same as mine. And if not, go ahead and write down all of the work that will help you get to the correct answer. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can check your work. Now let's move on to number 5. Number 5 says, Kenny uses 72 centimeters of ribbon to wrap gifts. He uses 24 centimeters of his total ribbon to wrap a big gift. Uses. Anytime you see the word uses or gives where you don't have the same amount you started with, then you subtract. So let's go ahead and set up our subtraction problem. 72 minus 24, because I want to know how much he had left after he used the 24. So let's start, as always, with our ones place. 2 minus 4. Well, we can't do that. So we have to borrow from the tens place. That 7 now becomes a 6. And that 2 is now going to become a 12. Now we can subtract. 12 minus 4 is 8. And 6 minus 2 is 4. So that means that after he wrapped the big gift, he had 48 centimeters left, or remaining, because they use the word remaining. Remaining is the same thing as saying that's how much he has left. So he had 48 centimeters left, or remaining, after wrapping the big gift. Now, we've only read the first two sentences, and we still have more information. So let's keep going. He uses the remaining ribbon, that 48 centimeters, he uses the remaining ribbon for 6 small gifts. How much ribbon will he use for each small gift if he uses the same amount on each? There's that key word, each. So that means that we need a get chart. He uses the remaining ribbon for 6 small gifts. So I've written down my get chart. I have 6 small gifts. So the 6 is going to go under the G for groups. Now they ask me, how much is he going to use on each? Which means I don't know my each, but I do know that he has a total of 48 centimeters. So I'm going to write 48 under total and question mark under each because I don't know. Now I can turn this into an equation though to figure it out. So first, I can write it as a division equation. 48 divided by 6 equals unknown. Or I can write it as a multiplication equation. 6 times unknown equals 48. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. You can create a ratio table. So again, decide where your X is, where the multiplication sign is, that's your input. So that's the number that you're multiplying times 6. So let's go ahead and fill it in with some numbers. Don't forget your counters. And let's fill in this ratio table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I multiply. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18. 4 times 6 is 24. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 6 is 42. 8 times 6 is 48. So I've arrived at 48, which means that 8 is my answer. So my unknown number is 8. So that means my answer in a complete sentence is that Kenny will use 8 centimeters of ribbon on each small gift. Go ahead and check your work against what I've done here. Make sure you pause the video if you need to write things down. Now we're looking at our last question, which is number 6. Number 6 says, 6 friends equally share the cost of a gift. Equally share. Anytime you see the words equally share, that means you're going to be dividing. We don't know what we're going to be dividing, but we know we're going to be dividing. Let's keep reading. They pay $90 and receive $42 in change. Well, I'm going to stop there because that's an equation. They pay $90 and receive $42 in change. Okay, so I know that if I set up my problem, 90 minus 42 would be the problem that I'm going to write. Okay, so they pay $90 and they receive $42 in change. So if I set that problem up, that means that I can figure out how much the gift cost total. So let's start with the ones place. 0 minus 2. Can't do that. So I'm going to go next door and borrow. The 9 is going to become an 8. And the 0 is going to become 10. Now I can subtract. 10 minus 2 is 8. And 8 minus 4 is 4. So $48. So that means that they paid $90. They received $42 in change, which means the cost of the gift was $48. Okay, so now I know how much the gift cost. So now I know the cost that they're equally sharing. So they equally shared $48. Okay, now let's keep reading because I still haven't gotten to the question part, right? How much does each friend pay? Each. I see that word each. So I need a get chart. Now, after I write down my get chart, I can start filling it in. Okay. I know that the total is $48. The total cost of the gift was $48. 6 friends equally shared the cost. So that means that my groups is 6. And the question asks me, how much does each friend pay? So there's going to be a question mark under my E for each. Well, now I can set up equations to figure out the answer to the problem. So I can set it up as a division equation first, and that would be 48 divided by 6 equals my unknown. I can also set it up as a multiplication equation. 6 times my unknown equals 48. Now, it should seem very, very familiar because we just used that same set of equations for number 5, which means you should not have to create a whole nother ratio table. You should already have it on your paper. And the answer to that question, number 5, was 8. Same answer. 6 times 8 equals 48. Our unknown number is 8. So that means that each friend will pay $8 to equally share the cost of a gift. That's your answer. Now you may want to go ahead and pause the video to check your work against mine. And if you didn't quite get that answer, go ahead and write down all of the work that we've completed together, just to make sure that you have everything you need so that you know how to solve this type of question next time. Lesson 17 homework is complete. Congratulations. Yay. I will see you next time. You did an awesome job making it through your Lesson 17 homework. Have a great rest of your day.